Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a very simple beaded bag for us to work on. This is a netting beaded bag. This is very simple beading DIY. A beginner can also make it. So let's get right into the video. Hello, welcome and thank you for joining me. So I have here on my table, this is a 12mm pearl bead. This is 12mm and I have here in 8mm, okay, 12 and 8mm pearl. That's what we are going to use today. I have my fishing line over here in 50 pound. So again, we'll be using two sizes of bead, 12mm and 8mm. That's what we are going to use. We are going to start with 4 bead. I'm going to put all these 4 bead on the line, okay? I'm going to string 4 bead on the line. Like this. This is our 4 bead we put on the line. Now I'm going to hold the last one and cross with my right line and pull down. Hold the 2 ends together and pull the bead down. Then you have something like this. We have 1 flower done. Now on each side of my line I put 12mm and in between I put 8mm, like this. Okay, you arrange it like this. Then we are going to cross both ends in this one, in the 8mm, like this. Pull down. Now again, now what we are going to do, we are going to repeat this flower over here, okay? So we are going to put 8 8 on each side of our line, the right and left. I'm going to put the right one on the right and left on the left one. Then I'm going to cross both ends of my line into this bead, the third one, this one. Cross both ends of your line into the third one and pull down. So again, on each side of my line, the left and the right line, these 2 lines, I'm going to add 2 12mm pearls, and in between I put 8mm, like this. We're going to arrange it like this, and we are going to cross both ends into this one and pull down, like this, and pull it down. Again, on both sides of my line, the left and right, we are going to repeat the flower. So now on each side of my line, I'm going to put the 8mm. I put it on the right and on the left line. And now I'm going to cross both ends of my line into this bead. So cross both ends into the third bead and pull down, like this. And now both ends again of my line, I put 2 12mm and in between I put the 8mm, like this. You arrange it like this, then you cross into this one, into the 8mm, okay? It's a pattern you have to follow, okay? Don't miss it. So again, we are going to repeat the same thing. On each side of my line, I put the 8mm and I'm crossing into the third one and pull down, like this, and pull it down. Now again, on each side of my line, I put 2 12mm and in between I put the 8mm. So I'm going to cross into the 8mm and pull down. Cross and pull. Now we are going to repeat again like this. This is how the pattern is looking like. 1 2 3 4 5. That's what we made. We made 5, okay? And this is how it's looking like. This is 5. Look at the pattern. Very beautiful. Please try not to miss anything, okay? Don't miss a pattern, else you're not going to have it. So I put 8mm. Again, we are going to repeat this over here. So I put the 8mm on each side of my line, then I'm crossing both ends of my line into the third one, the third 8mm, okay, and pull down. If you follow the pattern, you're gonna have the same thing I have over here. We are going to repeat this again over here. So I'm going to continue this chain until I make 9. Okay, I make 9 of it, and this is how my 9 is looking like. If you count the rings, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I made 9. So now this is where we are. Let me put this aside and let me show you how we are going to join it. So this is how it's looking like. Okay, we have the smaller flower at the end. So on each line I put 2 12mm, and in between I'm going to put the 8mm, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side too. So both left and right line, add 12mm, and in between and put 8mm, like this, like how I have it on my line. You arrange it like this on each side of your line. Then we are going to hold the beginning of our weave like this. This is the tip. I'm going to cross both ends of my line into this end bead and pull down. So now over here I'm going to tie. Okay, I pull one line through it, then I'm tying over here. Tie in between the bead and not on the bead. Alright, so the line will not be showing. I tie in between these two beads. So this is how our weave is looking like. We make a big circle of our weave. So this is where my line is. I'm going to hold this one and go to the 12 and 8. I'm going to pull it through the 12 and enter the 8mm. Pull it through 12, enter the 8mm. And I'm going to hold the other line like this. Okay, I'm going to hold the other line, then I'm going to work through this circle into the 8mm. I'm going to pull it through this circle of bead over here, this flower, into the 8mm, the same bead that I enter with the first line. This one, enter the 8 and pull. So both lines are in the 8mm, like this. It's in this bead. Now my left line, I'm going to add 3 8 on my left line, like this. Cross with your right line and pull down. Cross and pull. Now I'm going to pull my right line, this line, okay, into the 12, 8 and the 12. Go through the 12mm, go through the 8 and enter the 12mm, like this, up into only 12. Now my left line, I'm going to add 2 12mm and 2 8mm. I'm going to cross into the 8 and pull. So now my right line, I'm going to enter only the 8mm, this one. Pull it through the 8. So my left line, this line, I'll be adding 2 8s to the left line. I'm going to cross and pull, cross and pull down. So now my right line again, my right line, I'm going to go to the 12, 8 and 12. Go through the 12 into 8 and enter 12 again. This is my 8 and I enter 12 only. Okay, so now my left line, I add 2 12mm and in between I put the 8mm, like this. Arrange it on the line like this, and I'm going to hold the 8 and cross with my right line and pull. Now my right line again into the 8mm. I'm pulling through the 8, and on my left I add 2 8mm on it. This is my left line. I add 2 8. I'm going to cross with my right line and pull down. This is a netting weaving that we are making. Okay, now my right line into 8, 12, 8 and 12. You enter the 12mm then you come into 8 and enter 12 again. Enter your 12 only, and then on your left line add 2 12 and 2 8 like this. Cross the 8 with the right line and pull down. Again, I'm going to enter only the 8 millimeter. Enter only the 8 and add 2 beads to the left line. Cross with your right line and pull. I'm going to pull my right line again into the 12, 8 and 12. 8 and then into the 12. Now my left line I add 2 12 and 2 8. Cross into the 8 and pull. Like this. I'm going to enter only the 8 again. This is a pattern you have to follow. Follow attentively so you don't miss anything, okay? So now my left line, I add 2 8 to my left line. Like this. Cross into 1 and pull down. Now I'm going to pull my right line again into the 12, 8 and enter 12. So go to the 12, go to 8 and the 12. Then you enter 12, alright? Now the left line, I add 2 12 and 2 8. Cross into the 8 and pull. Now you enter the 8 again and add 2 8 to your left line. Add 2 8 to your left line, cross and pull. And this is how the pattern is looking like, okay? This is how it's looking like. This is how we are going to continue to the end. So continue and I'll meet you back here. Now this is how mine is looking like, okay? This is how it's looking like, and I'm going to show you how we are going to step up and continue our row. So I'm going to pull my right line again into the 12, 8 and 12. Pull it through the 8, the 12 first, into the 8, and then enter the 12. So now I'm going to pull my line again into the 8, this one into this bead, okay? The 8 millimeter at the end over here. I'm going to pull my right line into it. Cross into it like this. And now my left line, I'm going to add 2 12 and in between I put 8. Arrange it like this on the line and hold the line. Cross into the same 8 that you cross the first line. Cross into it. Sometimes the holes are very small and tight. Okay, now hold both lines and pull. That's how we lock our line in this bead over here before we continue. Now this line, I'm going to enter this into 12 and come to the 8, okay? I'm going to weave to the 8 over here. Pull it through the next 8. This one. I enter 12 and come to the 8. I'm going to pull through the 12 millimeter. Then I'll enter my line into the 8. Okay, now this line I'm going to weave back around. This line I'm going to weave into 8. This come around and enter the 8. Okay, the same 8 millimeter we cross the first line. That's what we are going to cross the line. Just weave round this circle into this. That is how we lock our line and make sure the bag is tight and firm, okay? We can continue to weave, but if you don't hold your tight, your grab is not strong, it's going to be weak and very wobble. It's not going to look nice. But now we are locking our line. Look at how firm it starts forming. That's how I want us to do it, okay? So I add 3 beads to my left line, cross with the right line and pull. Now we are starting a new row, okay? Now my right line into the 12, 8 and 12. Enter 12 into the 8 in the middle over here. Then I'm going to pull into the 12 millimeter. And now pull into the 12. Now my left line, I add 2 12 and in between I add 8 millimeter. I cross into the 8 and pull. Now I'm going to pull my right line into the 8. Pull it through the 8, add 2 8 to your left line, cross with the right line and pull. Now into the 12, 8 and 12. Put the right line into the 12, enter 8 and go through the 12. Now the left line I add 2 12 and 2 8 on it. I cross into the 8 and pull like this. Now I'm going to pull my right line again into the 8 millimeter. Pull it through the 8 millimeter. Now the left line I add only 2 8s on the left line. So I put 2 8s on my left line, and because my line is short over here, I'm just going to hold both of them and tie. I'm going to tie in between these 2 beads, nice and neat over here, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to weave the rest of the line into the bead. Make sure it's well secured enough before I trim it off. So what you see me doing over here is weaving the rest of the line into the bead before I trim it off. Now we are going to put a new line in. This is where we stop, okay? I'm just going to pull this line right into the bead. This is my line I cut. Just going to pull it right into this very bead, okay? This is where we stop. This is where we tie. So I'm just pulling the new line through the same bead. Then we are going to continue my right line into the 12, 8 and 12. Going to pull through the 12, 8 and 12. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, turn on your notifications for any new videos that I'll be uploading. On my left line, I'm going to add 2 12 and in between I put 2 8 millimeter. I'm going to cross into the 8 and pull. This is the same technique we are using. We are just going to continue the same until we complete. So my right line, I'm going to go through the 8 millimeter. And I'm going to add 2 8 on my left, cross with my right line and pull. Like this, okay? This is how the pattern is looking like. Very beautiful netting. Continue until I show you how we are going to step up again. Now I'm going to pull my right line into the 12, 8 and 12. I'm going to pull it through the 12, go through the 8 and the 12. Now I'm going to pull my line again into this line into 8, okay, into the 8 over here, like how we did for the first row. I'm going to repeat the same thing on this row too. Now on my left line, I add 2 12 and in between I put the 8 millimeter like this. And now I'm going to hold my left line and enter the 8 millimeter over here and pull tight, okay? Now we are locking our line again into this bead. This is how it's looking like. You see how it's looking firm and tight. Now this line into this, go through the 8, come to the 8 millimeter. I'm going to go around again, go through my 8 over here. Now into the next 8. Then I'll enter the 12 and come to the 8 millimeter. If you don't lock your line, it's gonna be weak, okay? So let's lock it. Come to the 8 millimeter over here and make our work very strong, nice and tight, so you don't see any loose thread in between your beads. If you pull your lines tight and lock your lines, you will have a very beautiful bag. Now my left line again, this one, I'm going to walk around this bead round and come and enter into the 8mm. That is what I'm going to do. Just weaving round this flower over here, this bead round, locking my line in, lock it through all this bead into the 8, into the 12. Now I'm going to enter into the 8. Okay, enter into the 8. That is how you have a firm work, a very strong, firm, beautiful work. You have to lock your line, don't leave it loose. Now our line is in the 8mm over here. I'm going to add 3 8 on my left line, and I'll cross with my right line and pull. Now we are starting a new row again. Okay, a new row. So my right line into the 12, 8 and 12. The same technique, the same pattern. That's how we are going to repeat over here. Okay, to create another row, I enter 12. Now on my left line I add 2 12 and 2 8, cross into the 8 and pull. To enter into only 8 over here. I'm going to enter into the only 8. I add 2 8 to my left line, cross and pull like this. Now into 12, 8 and 12. I hope you grabbed this already. So we are just going to continue. I'll do mine off camera and I'll meet you back here. Now that you all understand what to do next, we are going to continue to make 5 rows. Okay, so you go through the 8 and I'm going to add. This is how it's looking like. Very, very firm, very beautiful. So we're going to continue round until we complete and make 5 rows. Look at how beautiful and firm it's looking like. Very simple, very easy to weave. Now I'm on my last one. I'm going to go to the 12, 8 and the 12. Put my line through the 12 right here into the 8, and I'm going to go through the 12. Now my left line I add 2 12 and in between I put the 8. So I'm going to tie over here. So I'm going to put my line through the 8 over here, hold both ends of my line and tie. Okay, hold both ends of the line, tie nice and neat, tie in between the bead, and we are just going to go ahead and weave the rest of the line into the bead. Make sure it's well secured enough before we trim it off. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to weave back into the bead. Very nice and neat. Make sure all my line is well secured into the bead before I trim the ends. If you tie, don't trim right away. Just weave it back into the bead a little bit before you trim your lines. And now I can trim. This is how it's looking like now. This is the weave. Look at how firm and tight it's looking like. Now we are going to close the base. So I'm going to put my line through all this bead over here. Okay, I'm going to go through the 12, come through 8 and enter the 12. So now this is my line. This is how it looks like. Okay, my line is in both 12mm. Okay, now I'm going to take 1 8mm, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down like this. Pull down, and this is how it's looking like. Okay, now my right line into the next 8, left into the next 8. I'm going to pull it through the next 8, this one too, into the next 8 over here, 8mm. All right, and this is how it's looking like. My line is in the 3 8mm over here. So I'm going to take another 8, cross both ends of my line into it and pull. Again, I'm going to pull my line into the 12, 8, and 12. I'm going through 12, enter the 8 in the middle over here, and now enter the 12 millimeter. Okay, I'm going to pull my left line again, this one into the 12, go to the 8 and come to 12. Pulling through the 8 millimeter over here in the middle and enter the 12. Now my both lines are in the 12 millimeter. I'm going to take 1/8 millimeter, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down into the next 8 millimeter. I'm pulling my right line into the 8 millimeter, the left into the next 8 millimeter. Okay, so now I'm going to take another 8. This is how it's looking like. Take another 8, cross both ends of the line into it and pull. Cross and pull is the same way we weave, okay? The same pattern we used to weave, that's what we are doing at the base. Now I'm going to pull my line again, left side into the 12, 8, and enter the 12. Go through the 8 and enter the 12 millimeter. I'm going to hold on the other side into the 12, 8, and enter 12. Go to the 12 first, into 8, and come to 12. Now I'm going to take 8 millimeter, cross both ends of my line into it, and pull down. My right line, the right side, okay, into the next 8, left line into the next 8. Pull through the 8 millimeter, the next 8 millimeter, and on the other side, hold your line, enter the 8 millimeter. Now take 1/8 millimeter and cross. This is how it's looking like. It's a 3 bead, okay? 3 8 millimeter. Now we are going to take 1/8, cross both ends of our line into it, and pull down. Cross, pull. I'm going to enter 12. These 3 over here. First, enter the 12. Go through the 8 millimeter. And enter the 12 again, like this. Enter the 12. On the other side too, we are going to do the same. We go through the 12 first, enter the 8, and enter the 12. This is 12. Enter the 8. And into 12, okay? I pull it through both at the same time. So now this is where the line is. This is where the line is, okay? Take 1/8, cross both ends of your line into it, and pull down. Like this. Again, I'm going to hold my line into the next bead, into the next 8, this one into the next 8, this one into the next 8. Go to only the 8 millimeter, and this one to only the 8 millimeter. Take 1/8, cross both ends of your line, and pull down like this. You see how it's looking like? It's just the same weave, the same pattern we are repeating over here into the weave. So cross into the 8 and pull down. Now this is the 12. We are going to enter and into the 8 millimeter. and enter the 12 again. Hold the other side of your line, enter 12, pull through 8 and enter 12 again. Take 1 8, cross your line and pull down. Now the rest of our line, we're just going to weave it back into the bead. This is how our bag, netting beaded bag is looking like. Very pretty, very firm and very beautiful. So this is the base. This is how the base is looking like. We filled the base already, and now we are going to make a handle on it. Okay, make a 2 handle on this both side. Okay, this is my line. I'm going to pull through this bead. Okay, I'm going through the 12, 8 and 12. We are going to weave the same pattern on this. So here is my both line, right and left. I add 1 8 and 1 12 on each side. I take 1 8 and cross both ends of my line into it and pull down like this. We are just going to repeat the same pattern we used for the bag, for the handle too. Now I take 1 8, pull on each side of my line, cross into the 8 and pull. We are going to repeat the big flower again. So on each line I'm going to add, we are going to repeat this. Okay, we are going to repeat this again. I add 2 12 on my line, and in between I put the 8. I take 1 8, cross both ends of my line into it and pull down like this. So this is the pattern we are going to repeat. I take 1 8, I put it on each side of my line, the left and the right. I'm going to take another 8 mm, cross both ends of my line into it and pull like this. This is what I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to go ahead and make this 6 times. Okay, this is my 6. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, now on each side of my line I add 1 12 and 1 8 like this. I add 1 12 and 1 8 on each side of my line. I'm going to cross over, hold it well and make sure it's aligned. This is what I put on the line. Okay, now I'm going to enter the 12, this one over here. I'm pulling my line through the 12, 8 and the 12 over here, and I'm going to hold my other line and tie both of them. I'm going to hold and tie over here. So you tie nice and neat, and I'm going to weave the rest of the line into my handle, okay, to make it firm, nice and tight. I'm going to weave, tie over here in between the bead, in between these 2 beads. That's where I tie like this. Look at how pretty it starts looking like. Very, very beautiful. I'm going to weave this line back into the handle to make it strong and a little stiff. Weave it back into the bead, okay, and make sure it's well secured, and the line to help make, if you weave it through, it makes your work very firm, make it strong. So weave it back into the bead. Very, very beautiful. I can trim. So here is the handle. This is how it's looking like. I'm going to go ahead and make the second one. Okay, here the both places I'm going to fix the second handle. This is how it's looking like. This is the inside of it. Very beautiful. You can drop your phone, your iPhone, your car key, whatever you want to put in it. And this is the second handle we make on it. Very beautiful, very easy to make. Look at the bag. The bag is now wobbly, it's now falling flat on the table. It's really stiff and nice. So if you want a crossbody bag, you can make a handle like this. You can make this string of bead and hook on the side, so it can be a crossbody bag for you. Very beautiful. This is the claw. I'm just going to hook on it like this. Very nice bag and very beautiful. You can take it anywhere. You can take it to church, you can take it to wedding, you can take it outing, your dinner, wherever you want to take it. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope this video helps you to make one for yourself. I thank you for watching. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, turn on the notifications for any new videos that I'll be uploading, so you don't miss on any. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.